brothers and sisters, and friends, and I see some enemies. In fact, I think we'd be fooling ourselves if we had an audience this large and didn't realize that there were some enemies present.
Now, keep in mind, anything future tense in a formal setting is hypothetical. So again, the presumption is, of course, that everything goes as expected, which you have no reason not to expect to be informed of the cause and nature of the proceedings, It's like, I'm sorry, was I supposed to presume that you wouldn't inform me of the cause and nature of the proceedings? What a strange thing to want me to presume. Should I presume that you'd lied to me too? Shame on me. We can correct that right now. I'll stop presuming good faith. Do I have the right to be informed of the cause and nature of the proceedings? What was I asking a minute ago when I got cut off? Damn it.
You were asking...
No, the problem was you misheard my question and answered something different. So.
Oh, okay.
What was it you'd heard? Maybe that'll remind me of the actual question.
The intent to plea on a certain date. I had to sign a document stating that I had intending to plea on a certain date.
Oh, that's fine. That's fine.
That's basically like
it's a little hokey. I bet they actually included some fucked up stuff in that document, but usually they like whenever they have some signature on something, there's some fucked up stuff in there.
Oh,
they just can't let a good opportunity go to waste. Like there'll be some kind of a statement in there that you understand the proceedings or something like that, or what I mean? That you've been informed of the charges, something bullshit like that, Because that's all it takes is you've been informed of the charges, or that you've received notice of the charges. That'll do,
It doesn't say anything like that. It just states that I am knowingly and willingly entering into that document freely, or some shit like that.
Knowingly and willingly. Well, except that you don't know what it is you're accused of. So
correct.
So that's not knowing, and it's not of your own free will because there's the threat of violence involved.
Well, the threat of exactly.
Yeah, I mean, maybe just amended to say, well, except for the standard threats of violence. Except for the normal, the ones we've already known about. Damn it, there was a question. I just can't remember it anymore.
So I mean, I gotta hit him, and I gotta hit him hard, and I gotta knock out their fallacies because I know they're gonna come hard with it the minute I drop that bombshell on them on.
Well, I mean, what they'll probably do is they'll call that little lawyer up to do his job, and that'll be the end of your fun.
Probably, but if they get to the point where they're trying to hush me, I have to speak up and say, he doesn't speak for me, you're fired. I mean, I literally have to. I haven't done that in front of the judge yet, but if I did that, I think she wouldn't have a choice. Because our last intent to set his ass aside was I mean, this lawyer gets so intimidated by everything. He was going to file a document stating I'm withdrawing from this case. He wants to go, he wants to defend himself. And she said, I am not going to have or allow defendants to run my court. And she goes, if I were you, I wouldn't even file that. That's exactly what she told him. I wasn't in the room yet. I had just started walking into the room while I heard that. And he didn't file it. But then I filed those 4 motions that Mark Stevens
my question would be, did you threaten my lawyer on this date? Is that considered effective counsel when he's under threats? When he chooses to do something to represent me that goes against what the judge thinks, backs down, and he gets threatened to back down?
Right, it's not in my best interest, in the best interest of the court.
Counsel?
Exactly.
How's that effective counsel? That is, by definition, pretty ineffective. When he comes up with an idea and the judge backs him down off of it.
Hey, that story that I just heard, are we calling that a threat? Because it didn't sound like a threat to me. It sounded like intimidation.
That's what I mean.
Well,
okay. Fair point. Point taken. intimidating rather than threatening. Again, a threat is given and intimidation is taken, but yes.
Well, I mean, it clearly was a threat, because we all know that there were teeth behind that statement.
But we don't have any evidence that it was a threat. She didn't say, if you do that, then I'll do this.
That's why it's in question form. You're describing what you know and asking if it was a threat.
Even if we're asking a question that it's a threat, they could just say, no, I didn't threaten them. Why would you think that a threat?
And then you quote it. And it's like, okay, so you mean to say that the statement here wasn't intended to be taken to mean that something bad would happen to him if he didn't do what you suggested. Is that what people would commonly believe when they heard a statement like this? Is that what you think people would commonly think? Whether or not he intended it, it is perfectly let me back that up. Is it perfectly reasonable for somebody to presume that hearing that would imply, would kind of indicate that something bad would happen to him if he didn't do as suggested, When someone with the power to imprison and for holding contempt at will or any amount of time says something, it is entirely not unreasonable to believe that if that judge, if he'd said, you know what, Judge, I think it's in my client's best interest to do this, even though you don't like it. It is entirely feasible that he could have been sent to jail indefinitely until the judge felt like letting him out. And as absurd as that sounds, I keep mentioning, I have a friend who actually spent a year in jail before someone got him out on a habeas corpus on nothing too much more than that. I mean, technically, he went a step beyond. He wrote "F-U" on a, form that he was supposed to sign. But the sentence, the contempt sentence, was indefinite. It was until the judge decided to freaking let him out. And he spent a year in jail until a friend of his finally got his law degree and started filing habeas corpus and stuff like that.
Wow, that's
the guy was in jail
up.
for a year. He had no release date. Forever for writing "fuck you" on a document. If he hadn't had a friend who was a lawyer or something, he could have been in jail for the rest of his life over it, in theory.